of the major Japanese players in automotive were focusing on hydrogen vehicle. India's hydrogen policy was formulated in 2008, which was revised in 2016, but unfortunately not implemented till date. And Dr. Ratnadeep Joshi is really going to focus on this hydrogen. Mr. Dr. Joshi, Pramod Joshi will also introduce, Pramod Deshpande is going to introduce Dr. Ratnadeep Joshi. But before that, I just read out few words about the hydrogen as a clean fuel. Green hydrogen is a clean fuel that when consumed in a fuel cell produces only water. Hydrogen can be produced from a variety of domestic resources such as natural gas, nuclear power, biomass, and renewable power like solar and wind. The high calorific value, stability, and transportability qualities make it an attractive fuel option for transportation and electricity generation applications. It can be used in cars, in houses, for portable power, and many more industrial applications. Hydrogen is an energy carrier that can be used for store, move, and deliver energy produced from other sources. Today, hydrogen fuel can be produced through several methods. The most common methods are natural gas reforming, a thermal process, and electrolysis. Other methods include solar driven and biological processes. So in today's presentation, a review of major hydrogen production techniques will be discussed. Also, a successful research application on hydrogen from methanation process shall be discussed with plant design case study. Complete plant design shall be discussed to envisage collaborations to producing bio CNG and then hydrogen, gasoline, diesel, oil, and other fuels using the cheaper natural gas. Everybody to mute their microphone. Somebody is talking. I am warning again and again. Please mute your microphones. Now we have Dr. Pramod Deshpande, who is going to introduce the speaker, Mr. Dr. Ratnadeep Joshi. So over to Dr. Pramod Joshi, introduce, and then speaker will start the presentation. Over to Dr. Pramod Joshi. Pramod Deshpande.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Today we have with us Dr. Joshi. I will put it this way: he is a born chemical engineer. He is, by virtue of choice, he has entered into the field of research and education. But his objective is always to resolve the industrial problems and understand the industrial requirements. Right from his early young age of after completion of B, he was working with as an academic person, but he used to resolve certain problems related to distillation column. He is a PhD. His PhD is under well-renowned scientist Dr. B.D. Kulkarni, who was in NCL. He is completed his energy certification of the energy auditor, which is government of India professional body examination. He is active member in academic. He work as an associate dean quality assurance, which is a present need in upgrading the education and developing the systems in education. He has a vast experience to resolve various issues. He is also good in modeling and simulation of various processes. Now, I request Ratnadeep Joshi to throw the light on introducing the various sources of producing hydrogen and a case study in detail, which is his own work. Thank you. Over to Ratnadeep.
Thank you, sir. Very good morning to one and all the learned members of Technology Transfer Association and the associates. On the onset, I would like to request and express my gratitude to Dr. Pramod Deshpande, sir, for collaborating with such a wonderful group of people who are keen on developing technologies with the help of research into the field of basic and applied sciences and engineering. Thank you to Sri Chaitanya ji for a wonderful discussions input. Also, thanks to Sri Vilasji Rabdeji, so that this kind of mission has been taken forward, and then fantastic group of learners has come together, I would say, because we all are learners. I would not put it like even though I'm presenting here on a certain topic, still it's not like it's completely well versed into the field of research. Whatever small contribution I could do and get my understanding, I'm trying to present you with some more information. Today's topic that has been allotted, obviously, is something very which makes it similar kind of reflections of the newer change of technologies. And obviously, with a group of people where sometimes keen academic understandings of principles, or it goes on for applications and technologies, to present with to such a group is a really a difficult work for me. However, I'm trying to give some good input to each of the category of people who are interested. Some might be into academic research, some might be into developing technologies, some might be in installing of plants, or it could be venture capitalist VCs who would like to set up and support similar aspects of the future technologies. So on the outset, I thank the TTA for the opportunity to allow me to discuss and share. Today, we will be discussing on green hydrogen as a sustainable fuel and affordable generation by using biomethane. So, the case study that would be presented here would be more on green hydrogen. However, we still be looking into what are the other type of hydrogen that we call is really green hydrogen is green color and what we say. So, though the title itself, or we generally say that the hydrogen is a fuel, in fact, reality, hydrogen is not a fuel. It is a carrier gas which can carry heat value and can deliver it, and that's a great advantage. It is like a media, for example, recuperative heat exchangers, where we are heating the surfaces alternatively, and when we are heating, the surface remains the same, and we can use it multiple times. Same thing happens as a carrier gas, because the same hydrogen could be used and leveraged for the heating purpose at many times. Let's now invoke into one. Today, after the session, as a practitioner of outcome-based system, always I would like to see what the learners or participants in the session would be able to. So we'll have a review of developments of the gray, blue, and green hydrogen, what they really mean, we'll come to understand with the biomethane economy coming. Now, when we say biomethane economy, I would like to make it clear it encompasses everything. It encompasses second generation bioethane, it encompasses second generation of ethanol or methanol and dimethyl ether replacing diesel oil. All these kind of economical aspects do come when we talk on biomethane economy. Let's understand how the SMR and some other forms like autothermal reactors and the pyrolysis systems work for development of the methane. Then we go for understanding on green hydrogen plant, which I would show with the information and communication tools which have been enabled. And let's encourage the use of process simulators for simulation of such plants, which has a ideal case which has been developed here could be replicated as of the requirement. Some of you are interested, we can develop according to the size and system that we could be providing. Now, why really we want to do this, right? Why? What is the piece? So let's see that we had been conveniently using the landline phones, which were wired telephones. Suddenly, in between, there was a disruption that came as a pager, and then obviously before it penetrated to 0.3% of the population, we got cell phones, which is now almost close to 68% of the population. Now, will it be the same thing that would be happening, that we would have a car which is running on a fossil fuel or maybe natural gas, including oil, gas, coal, and maybe sometimes thought of nuclear power, which are conventionals? which is going to the middle one, which is an electric vehicle, battery operated vehicles, a fantastic topic. Lithium ion, sodium ion, lithium polymer, so many things we are discussing, empowered by solar, thermal, solar, electric, sort of photovoltaic, so many compositions we are looking into. And then obviously we are talking on a fuel cell, hydrogen fuel cell car, which needs only hydrogen and water, produces hydrogen and oxygen, producing only water, no pollutant, no gases, nothing. So that means what? EV would be a step in between, and by the time EVs start becoming popular, will it get converted to the FCVs, fuel cell vehicles, right? So that is a question. However, it depends upon the technological enhancements which we can see, and the research which comes up. Availability of hydrogen is a great challenge. The cost effectiveness of the fuel cell, it's also a challenge. It could be alkaline fuel cell, it goes to proton exchange membrane fuel cell, and so many other types. However, whatever comes up as an alternative and affordable operation, because we don't want cheaper things, we want affordable things where it comes and goes on for the communities and masses. So whether this is my just a proposition and thought, will this happen? That electric vehicles maybe 5-7 years will prevail and then suddenly will lapse and go into converting the hydrogen fuel vehicles. Now, when we say that the uh, uh, vehicles which come here, what why we say or why we go on is an important thing. These are some inputs. Wherever it has been collaborated, accepted, it has been acknowledged from the resources. So the National Academy of Engineering study talks on hydrogen could fundamentally transform the world energy systems. The fossil fuels will be one of the principal sources of hydrogen. However, carbon capture and storage technologies will be required. We will understand this in a progression. Some glimpses I'm sharing. And then if energy security is primary driver, synthesis gas must be a significant component of research and development aimed at making very large amounts of oxygen. This is very important. The third one itself that uh, the synthesis gas, which can come up from any source. It could be a cogeneration plant even which is producing this. So even at limit of smaller plants, meager quantities even, we should not uh, pay we should pay heed for each such application and not neglect it. This is very important system. Now, let's come to why. So, if I say that it comes from coal, abundantly available, let's see about a quick review, BP statistical review given the current production rate. If we see how much would be the coal would be able to supply, could be suppose some 220 more years, right? Oil is supposed to be somewhere close to 50 to 60 years with new explorations coming on. However, coal would be there. So can we base this on coal? Right? Let's look at the World Energy Outlook, the recently published in the month of September 2020. And we can see that the CO2 emissions, which are coming with the help of the usage. So the green line here, which is actually representing, so you can say that this is the current scenario. So the way we are functioning right now, the way CO2 will come out is this one. With newer technologies, obviously we are reducing the carbon tonnage per usage of application. Suppose we go for a reduction into the process, obviously we will go for a net zero. Firstly, we will go for a rapid reduction when we set to the targets. What are the targets? We'll come to understand. And then obviously with net zero, we will be here and we will be able to cool down the temperature of the whole earth by 1.5 degrees centigrade, and present target would be around 2 degrees centigrade. So melting of glaciers, the glacier we have recently witnessed such kind of mishaps with increasing the levels of the sea waters and drowning of cities, that all could be avoided. So this you can easily see, this is the ultimatum that we have to work on, right? So why we really need into, and we have to understand it fantastically with the statistics, right? Some of the other statistics I am providing to you here, you can see about it. So the fossil fuels, renewables and electricity and their reduction. So you can see the fossil fuel graph first. So there is all the kind of reduction which is happening in all these one, and there is a predictive graph. So you can say 2030, 35, 40, and up to 2050. What about renewables? When it comes to renewables, you can easily see the share at present is drastically increasing and will pick up around 2025 to 2030. And it comes on electricity. Obviously, with EVs, we are talking with fuel cells coming maybe 10 years away from us right now. So here again, the mobility systems, we need to have more of electricity. So this is what I'm trying to present it on a techno-commercial way, so that we understand what is the commercial aspect, business acumen associated with these one. The changing structure of global energy system, and if we see that the oil, the coal, basically you can see a drastic reduction which is happening, and the remaining of oil, and somewhere it had been a peak in 75, and again now the numbers are coming monotonous parallel to the abscissa, reducing into the systems. Mobility revolution, where electrification shared with mobility and autonomy, and EVs and Teslas and Elon Musk and so many things we are talking, reading, following. So you can here see about it, that the share of the truck and car loadings, right, heavy vehicles particularly, how that will keep on increasing right here in this graph, as well as the taxis. And it is particularly given the word as robo taxis, because it is supposed to be that driverless cars will prevail more 3 to 5 years down the line. And with technology change, it is really feasible. A year exactly down the line, if somebody would have said that so many collaborators will come together with the e-services and webinar series, nobody would have believed. However, a year down, it is completely true. And when we come to the next one, where mobility revolution systems do come with the analysis, right? So here I'm presenting some more on where natural gas as a source of near zero carbon energy can we do. Why natural gas we are talking? Because we want to have the hydrogen basically coming from natural gas. We don't have any other resource, and that's what we have to look into, about the source from where the hydrogen is coming, where hydrogen becomes a resource. The share of natural gas abated and unabated, both, if we look into with the business as usual, what we are doing right now, obviously it would be reduced. If we go for a rapid, it would be around 40%. And if we go for the net zero carbon, I understand that carbon positive, carbon negative, and neutral, that we are all talking about zero emissions. So these are all concepts clear today. Whatever I'm even speaking right now, I'm contributing to the carbon generation. My carbon footprint is positive. Then we go for carbon neutral, where whatever carbon I am generating, I am reducing that, not sequestering, right? I will come to that point later. And when I am producing, which is lesser than even I am consuming, carbon negative, right? And maybe it is farther away. However, at least net zero or carbon neutral, when we are looking into, this is the aim. That's what we need, hydrogen. And there are certain incentives which are coming for this one to industries. Now, natural gas with CCUS, if we look into CCUS, is carbon capture, utility, and sequestration. So sequestration, store, it could be storage into oil wells, because we are injecting saline water, we are dissolving CO2 into the saline water, so that the enhanced oil recovery comes in, we get more production of oil, and it gets sequestered. We have natural cavities that we are looking into. Salvina of US is another famous natural cavity, right? They are all doing that into shells and all. So this is another way of carbon sequestration. Now we say, let's see electric demand, if we look into, and you can really see the increase in the demand which may be coming for final consumption. And let's see the change in electricity demand by sector wise in 2018 to 2050. We can see that even the business as usual line, you can see up to this, the buildings and households functionings. Then we have this complete for industry, right? And then obviously we get for a transport, and the share will keep on increasing. However, if we go for a rapid reduction, at least you can see that the transport will keep on reducing in overall, rather the total amount in trillion watt hour is reducing, right? Now, this is more interesting for us because there are so many other ways of energy storages that we keep on talking. Some people say, oh, let's store in batteries, for example. We will have wind power. Now, wind power will, again, that's a source for hydrogen also. So we'll get that, we'll store it in batteries, we'll transport it, then that could be used for converting into methane and hydrogen splitting. However, what are the chances of them becoming more prevalent? And that's what I always that was I was proposing. That's my thought, that whether EVs will be a very intermediate things for the future coming in for next 5 7 years or 10 years maximum. If you look at the batteries approach, the greenhouse stage, batteries are fantastic. However, if we come to see it into the days and weeks, we may not be, right? It could be hydroelectricity, hydel power plants, minutes and hours. The scheduling for coal thermal power plants, again minutes, hours, and sometime 2 days. Then hydro with reservoir large capacities like Three Gorges in China, which is really scary and terrible. Similar kind of aspects here. Obviously, then it could be for a longer time. However, we cannot build. Even China is repenting on building Three Gorges. Right now, when come to hydrogen, it could be hydrogen with or without the carbon sequestration, right? So it could be carbon capture, utility, and sequestration. And you can see this for a longer term viability. This is the only source. Why should we pay attention that? And the second one, again, that's the bioenergy. Right? So charts and graphs tells us that what will prevail in future, where should we invest, where should we find the technologies, where our aim and focus should lie into, right? Now, if you look into the global power generation, quick review, so you can see the business as usual. Just look at these graphs: wind and solar, coal and natural gas here, and obviously you can see that it's really increasing right here. Net zero, if you look into, obviously solar always will have a uh, more marginal advantage because that's going to make more difference in future. However, solar energy again being used for hydrogen generation, that's what we are talking about. So energy source, from where it comes at presently, that's an important one, right? Here, sources of primary energy by sector wise, if I see and look into, you can see this hydrogen, right, which is prevailing, and by type also. So it comes into certain scenarios which have been built for net zero, carbon neutral to rapid reduction, and how they would be responding to different compositions. So you can see this top layer, right, increasing layer for hydrogen coming into the practice. This is the importance. Net zero, it is really contributing to that higher sectors. And obviously, the power generated by other sources will continue. However, the by type also, you can see the biomethane and other components coming in an increasing fashion, getting more importance. Why hydrogen is important for us, right? As we know, the Paris Agreement, Chaitanya sir referred about the Indian policy. I will show you in the next one, where you can see here international agreement on 12 December 2015 with United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. And like the certified emission reduction CERs to be earned and purchased by the companies who are flouting the norms of the previous Tokyo Protocol. The same way for the Paris Agreement, they have to pay for it, and obviously there would be certain more business even by reduction into the tonnage of CO2 by producing hydrogen that you can see. So this has come into effect from 4th November 2016, originally agreed by 196 countries. However, 191 actually signed. And that's what I would say. We can make business into 191 countries. So this is not limited to a certain geographical or demographic limitations. We can really go beyond that one. what global leaders are committing for it, right? And most recently, most of them are 2021 of these statements, which I have gathered here and galloped for you, starting with Amazon from February, with UPS, Atmos Energy, and some more of energetical aspects, right? And you can see of them the commitments they are giving for this one. Obviously, this makes a great opportunity as well as the sustainability effort. It's not like just a sustainability effort for all. It's a kind of business that comes up along with it. More of the plants to be set up. Obviously, the most important aspect right now being discussed in United States of America comes to the renewable natural gas to the hydrogen process flow, and obviously smaller plants with less than 1000 standard cubic feet meter cube that they are all looking into, cubic feet or meter cube values, they are all looking into developing into it. India, the best lead was taken with the earlier missions, or there were some references which we could see. However, a concrete step has been taken, and 34 crore rupees of the last year's budget to 6,300 crore rupees for this year's budget. This is, you know, this is certainly not leapfrogging. This is pole vaulting that we call. So from this pole to that pole vaulting probably into the National Hydrogen Mission in implemented since 1st April 2021 by the government, and they are coming up with this. The draft has already been released and it's under discussion. So if somebody wants the draft always is with me. So you can really find out about where it really comes up, right? So this is the draft. Let me close it. Okay, so there different stages are there where there could be a role played by different kind of entrepreneurs, different kind of the venture capitalists. It could be the research and development, proofing of the concept, pilot plant and deployment, commercialization and maturity, and different finances do come here. For example, maybe government and venture capitalists and project financing and so many. And the technology that basically they are being operated right now with green hydrogen. The first important thing I would like to mention that what really these different type of hydrogens we will understand in next couple of slides. However, the importance given to into the Indian annual financial statement, that is on green hydrogen. Some people had questioned this one, including some business tycoons. However, this is a visionary statement. I just want to say this is really a visionary statement. First time in India which has come up with so many detailing, and that too on green hydrogen. Right? Okay. Now, why hydrogen? Why so much of importance? And we are discussing here, and all technocrats like you are here. The most importantly, if you look into the time of production, the graph. So here it is going up, and you can see that at a lesser time over, we can produce methane. We take time for ethane propane to decane, right? C10 components, and then the easiest way to propane, even LPG propane and butane that we have, even takes certain amount of time so that to manufacture and process it. However, methane is the most easiest way by which we can rather which we can produce, and it can further help us to grow and provide hydrogen. Now, why hydrogen? Right, so many options, and so all your interesting options I have enlisted here. So if you look into the heat content of each one of them in megajoules per kg, our fantastic one, our loving lithium ion battery is 0.5 megajoule per kg, which can contain only this much of heat per kg. Wood, ethanol, our coal, particularly bituminous, 23.9. Then we go for gasoline around 46, kerosene, LNG. Then we have methane here, right? If I increase the uh, size for you, right? And then obviously when it comes to hydrogen, it is 142 megajoule per kg. Right? And this is the reason why we are focusing more on hydrogen, making it for a carrier gas. Right? So many times, 100 and 200 and 84 times than lithium ion battery, the amount of energy it can carry. And that's what we really need into. The way we look into for the material for solar photovoltaic cells, right, where it comes up the gap, ionic gap should be more. The same thing comes in here in the case of hydrogen. The more heat content it can, more the heat it can deliver, and that's what we can have: lesser flows, lesser operations, and obviously lesser costs incurred into the processing systems. And I have given you most popular fuels on left hand side, right? So even the basic crude oil is around 42 percent, right, lesser than that. And that's what underlines the importance of hydrogen as a fuel carrier. Now let's understand, I'm talking on gray and blue and green, what really we say about it. So what is a gray carbon and gray hydrogen produced from that methane? We say when the CO2 is leveraged to as an entity of flare, or it could be the flue gas that comes out from the process and directly provided to the ambient. It could be lean way, obviously. However, it's directly provided to the ambient, then we call it as a gray coal. All our thermal power stations, all the present the SMRs, that is the steam methane reforming gasification systems, most of them fall into gray systems. So they produce, if the methane is produced, gray methane; if the hydrogen is produced, it's called as a gray hydrogen. Now what we do is, instead of this, and that's what we are committing, that's what the sustainability parity is not there. For example, hydel electricity, zero point 0.9 kilowatt hour generations, 1.5 for coal, and you go to LNG operated plants, it is 9 rupees, right? So there is no parity on for the environmental sustainability, and obviously coal will be then cheaper and all the times. However, the kind of pollution we are creating, and kind of greenhouse emission gases which we are liberating, that is not, controllable, or that could not be compensated by using such policies. Now it comes to the blue hydrogen. What we do the same thing, natural gas to hydrogen. However, the CO2 which is generated is stored or sequestered. Now what we do is, it is stored for a certain application. For again, we can convert it to methane, or we can go for some other DME also. The Fischer-Tropsch synthesis, I will talk about it little later. However, it comes up that we are not allowing these emissions, particularly CO2, to be left over into the environment. Now with that one, obviously we call it as a blue hydrogen. However, when we do not produce the CO2, we consume all the O2 produced, and typically the electricity or the methane is being produced from the renewable sources. It talks on green hydrogen. It basically talks on green hydrogen. Okay. So the gray to blue and green, obviously moving towards green is a leapfrogging. It will need higher technologies, more investments coming into the systems. However, is more sustainable, is environmentally friendly, and obviously with Paris agreements, we for humanity, we have to go for it. Now there are limitations how much green hydrogen we can really produce with the amount of biomaterials that do we have, right? And that's what uh, eliminating the hydrogen being produced from gray is not feasible. I would like to make it clear for everybody that, eliminate all. For example, eliminating fossil fuels completely and move to EVs is not even feasible very quickly, maybe 5 or 10 years down the line even. However, same thing is applicable. We can transform that. Same thing, at least we move from gray to blue, right? So that at least certain amount of sustainability we can work on, and then obviously we will try to compensate with green. So for example, 40% of the hydrogen is coming from green way and 60% is coming from blue way. So gray we have to eliminate. We have to move from gray to blue and compensate with green, right? Rather, green should be compensated with the blue, so that whatever is the reduction that comes up, or requirement, um, the makeup requirement comes up from, should be fulfilled by the blue hydrogen. This is what I hope the concept is now clear for each one of us. Obviously, then this one I'm just giving you why it is so. So the higher heating value of a fuel that we call, it consists of the combustion product of water. Whereas the lower heating value, it says that the water product of combustion is at vapor state and the heat of vaporization is not recovered. So if the LHV is good, obviously, because all these gaseous components getting out from through the flue gas, we cannot condense them all and generate the electricity again, right? So out of whatever is the lower value which comes up out of these two, we take it as a net heating value. So in general, what we can say is, if we want to have the higher heating value more, we have to condense the product. For example, in tire pyrolysis units, so what we do is the tar which is generated, tire or plastic pyrolysis, the tar generated is when the gaseous components are condensed and we generate the fuels from that. So there we use higher heating values. However, where huge amount of flue gases are generated, we actually do not condense all the gaseous components, and that's what we focus on, the lower heating value. So though the gross heating value is 142, which comes up into this one. So if a fuel has no water prior to the combustion, then the gross heating value is equal to the higher heating value. So that is what we need dry, and we call it as a dry gas. It could be dry methane or dry hydrogen. The reason is, if there is no water, obviously that heating value goes to a higher limit, and that goes to the higher heating value, providing us more of the carrier of heat. Or if it is a real fuel like methane or aviation turbine fuel, obviously in a vaporized form, obviously it will give us the higher heating value. Now these two concepts are important, which all the time, because yes, hydrogen is good. However, there would be certain you know uh, um, attributes which would not be making it the best choice, where we need to work more, where we need to research more. Let's explain me. First is called as an energy density. Energy density is the amount of energy per unit volume, right? In the given liters volumes of the fuel, how much amount of energy is there, it's called as an energy density. The second term is the specific energy. It is the amount of energy per unit of mass, right? So that we are carrying, particularly we have provided into a given system. So here the energy which it is being carried per unit mass, that's a specific energy. Now see this line, the effectiveness of hydrogen to gasoline, where we want to see what is there. Hydrogen has a higher specific energy than gasoline, however lower energy density than in its liquid form. So when it is per kg, it is providing us the energy, it is more in hydrogen. However, per volume is lesser. That means what? The volume required for hydrogen would be more, and this is important aspect to note, right? So for example, 40 liters, 45 liters of fuel tank that we are using, we may need to increase it more, even it is in compressed form, right? So like the natural CNG, you have already witnessed, everybody, the CNG kit which is placed and CNG tank is there, which is always in a larger size. The reason is here, because the specific energy is there, yes, however energy density there is the lower one. It's same for methane, it's same for hydrogen. That's why we need bulky structures for it. It could be bulky structures for transportation, it could be bulky structures for using it as a fuel, and that's what is an um, challenge for us. Let's come to understand it. So when I say one, that's what I've given, halo hydrogen, right? So it could be one single atomic number with that we call as a protium or normal hydrogen. With 2 it's a deuterium, with 3 it's a tritium. All these are hydrogen forms. Some of them are, 2 of them are radioactive, one is non-radioactive, right? Now let me compare that with the methane, which is the popular fuel, or basically from which we are deriving the hydrogen, right? Now I would say that densities and all, you can hear, that's what energy density which I referred, 0.09 kg per meter cube to 0.716 with methane, and you know, 0.85 for diesel oil, 0.91 for for gasoline that we use it, right? And energy density, you can see here 3 megajoule per decimeter cube. Decimeter cube is liters, and 12.6 megajoules per decimeter cube. However, when we come to the lower heating value, the least we are calculating, we are not saying net or higher, 120, right? And I think this is the characteristic that makes us to love hydrogen, right? Why we should go for it more, and definitely we should look into for these hydrogen aspects. Now this is something more important for all of us. What is the cost then? If we are saying the hydrogen is so nice, comparable one, though energy density is lower, still specific energy is there. However, let's see that one. Let's focus on Indian continent. And if you see, I've given a comparative once, so from the International Energy Association 2019, right? Value borrowed from them, and you can see about, if I say that it's an Indian continent structure, sorry, here, right? So we can easily see about the coal with the carbon capture, coal without the carbon capture. It first is coal without the carbon capture, then obviously coal with the carbon capture with very small units. Jindal and some other people have started. NTPC has recently started with coal capture and sequestration unit. Then we have natural gas without CCUS, here natural gas with CCUS, and obviously the electrolysis or renewables. And if we look at the price, I'm sure, just compare these prices all over the world. For example, look at the Middle East, right, or in African countries, or our, the much loving and talking of United States of America, right? So all that one, they are actually having, even US and us, we have certain uh, range of change into the values, right? So we still are in a better position. That's what India is so vital. We are having blessed with these aspects, and then why not to encash on them, right? Maybe lithium ion battery, we don't have lithium, right? Some 1200 kgs of lithium we recently found in last month in Kerala, Kottayam. We are so happy. However, tons of storage of lithium is there in China, right? 85% of the lithium is imported only from China. So the dependability is there. We cannot say no, or do compel with some other things where we are blessed with these aspects. Let us more focus on that, and can we shift our economy with these aspects. So these are cost systems, right? Where most of the time we always have that blogging, technology is good, what about affordability? Technology is good, what about the mass production, right? Everywhere it wins, everywhere hydrogen wins. This is somewhere, I will not, it's a prediction, however, I just give that I tried to pack up so many things to satisfy many people. So this is the way of how hydrogen pipeline could be done. Hydrogen by tank car carriage is fantastic, that is good. For example, today, with oxygen supply reduction for the COVID patients, we are getting it from Reliance Refinery. The same hydrocracker unit or class unit is providing the hydrogen, is providing the oxygen. The units which are producing soap saponification with SMR, we supply oxygen, right? They are stopped and they are providing the oxygen. So same way we can transport it with the help of the pipeline. This is would be a multiple casing pipeline with outer wrap, composite reinforcement, primer, and there would be a steel liner. And maybe those who are interested and into the business can start prototype development, because you may be required in a couple of years down the line. So many questions are there. What is the role of hydrogen in Indian economy, and how do we need to achieve that? All these questions are there. Let's quickly, in next 10 more minutes, we'll do that. So steam methane reforming or autothermal reforming, these are the basic two technologies. SMR, which widely known. I'll show you the figure which will make it clear. In autothermal reforming, what we do is we add a certain carrier, right, which carries uh, with the metal oxides, and obviously because of that the reforming process takes place. And this is more important, which I would be showing you the case study. This is my own simulation screenshot which I have shared with you. This is what we want. Let's go ahead from this steam methane refining and we use pyrolysis. Shell has developed a similar technology that called as a SPG technology. However, this is nothing but steam methane refining reformer plus pyrolysis. The best of the SMR, the best of the pyrolysis comes together to give us best of the fuel in the world, the hydrogen. So here we say that it comes, obviously both normal SMR and ATR presently needs to go for CCUS, carbon capture, utilization and storage, or sequestration, because it is mandated now, right? And it's implemented. We have to fulfill that requirement right in present. I will not read these all things. So it comes up that the substitute of natural gas, which comes up into the biofuel systems, and can we go for the fuel cell vehicles? Let me skip this one. So here you can see the emissions which are seen here, the SOx, NOx, and CO2, which will be coming up into, and obviously the fuel cell vehicles, which is coming from coal with sequestration and without sequestration. Then the internal combustion and other engines that we are using, the hybrid electric engines, HEV, or hybrid electric vehicles, and internal combustion engine vehicles. Obviously they would be contributing more, and the fuel cell vehicles which would be producing the lesser of the component or pollutants which are derived from coal. We are not looking for coal, we want to go away from coal. So this is how in general what happens. The coal biomass petcoke comes in. From this we supply steam, and then obviously as of requirement we provide oxygen, and then obviously at very high conditions, 1000 pounds per square inch gauge with 2600 degrees of Fahrenheit with corrosive slag and H2S gas that comes up. And this is for all those who want to understand how it really comes up. So many products we come. So right now we can, the CO which is generated, we want to reduce that. We can react with hydrogen and we can produce methane. However, from where this hydrogen will come is a question, right? Okay, now the next one is important. Obviously we can have the water gas shift reaction and produce the CO, steam methane reaction and producing the H2. Then we can have these fuel cell systems running with the Fischer-Tropsch synthesis, right? And everywhere we are getting the hydrogen, FCV, right? Fuel cell vehicles. Yeah, so these are the different ways: central hydrogen production or alternative, which I would suggest this one, in situ for Indian context, right? So this is recently some data which is available, selling price, which I have borrowed from the uh, research journal. These are certain systems. Yeah, central pathway, alternate pathway, utilization and infrastructure. These are the certain challenges, and these are posing in the given proportion, right, in the strategy. So we should have a focus on hydrogen separation membrane, 65% of focus, alternate pathway, 26% utilization, obviously only 5 to 6, and infrastructure to 3, because lot many things are available with us. So here what we get is syngas. That syngas is used in a high temperature reactor. It gets cooled. Then we have LTS, and then obviously we have some physical separations, and we get this hydrogen. I will bring you. This is the technology that we should use for separation. Right now, water gas shift reaction, for example, converting again the CO2 hydrogen. 1 mole is added here, so we can use it the membrane reactor so that we can do it in a better fashion. The pure hydrogen one, we do have this technology. Cost is important, so today we use pressure swing adsorption. These are different ways of the membranes which we could use. Now this is something more. I will spend 5 minutes on the slides here, because techno commercially we would be more interested into. Look at this. Is it affordable? What is the pricing which we would be coming into? Now if you look into the the fossil fuel natural gas in India, for regular fields, the cost is $1.79 per million metric British thermal units, right? And for more challenging fields, it is 3.9 or precisely or $4 per million metric BTU for natural gas. Obviously, the demand is more because the more challenging fields like the KG Basin, where Dhirubhai phases are there with Reliance, with Cairn, with Shell, they are more challenging and they demanded to make it $9 per MMBTU. Obviously, government has not taken their views and rather taken their views, however, is not increase the price, because if it increases, everything increases, and 1 MMBTU is 20.16 kg of natural gas. So if I say that this gray without sequestration, it is the present cost that we are paying 67.5 rupees per kg. If it is blue, we make sequestration, it will become 89 rupees a kg in the present context, right? In the present context, this is for regular fields. Obviously, we have very limited regular fields, gas associated with the oil wells or only natural gas at lower depths. This could be possible. However, majority fields in India, they are on more challenging fields. And here it was 89 for even blue. Here for gray, it is 96, 97 rupees, right? If we apply the green hydrogen, blue hydrogen, right? So sequestration, and obviously for gray and with sequestration, it is 105, right? So prices obviously would be more. It will increase as we keep on going. Now, what about bio, right? Let us wait it. I'm giving you it little in a context. I will skip this. This is a Fischer-Tropsch plant where we can convert it. These are the reactions. These are the ways of storage, reciprocating, and systems. This is a real plant. Those who are interested in a plant design, for them also I'm giving you how a real plant works up. Simulation which is given. Coal price in 2020 is 755 rupees per ton, and the amount for each sequestration cost even I have done. So you can see here rupees 300 per metric ton of CO2, right? So this 755 plus 300, so this will be the real cost, right? So 1055, and obviously this is going to disturb the whole economics, right? Even today with this cost, even there are demands for reduction in coal cost. What will happen if it is really sequestered? And we have to do that. It's not like we can get away from that. So here I'm just showing you quickly, just look at them. Syngas expander, how it the CO2, this is with CO2 capture. Here I'm showing you the CO2 capture. Earlier was without the CO2 sequestration or capture. Now there is a supercritical CO2 which can go for storage. And this is what we are doing, even supercritical. Yesterday you might have on this news, we were there. So the supercritical oxygen will be supplied to the specific energy, dealing with and tweaking with the specific energy and the energy density. So we will increase the energy density so that with lesser content mass, we can produce or provide more of the oxygen. That supercritical oxygen will come. This is with CO2 and H2S. I'm giving you many of these options and calculations. Yeah. So this is what is somewhat with sequestration, CO2 capture. This is all future, not a single plant in India. Actually, except a smaller plant runs on this one. So this one is with the fuel grade hydrogen. Let's skip this. Yeah. So this is the achievement. Let me come on the fuel. These are some statistics and information I'm just giving you additionally. This is my simulation work I'm showing you. This is how a real plant, 3D plant, I have got this one created with RDIS company in Pune. Some of my students are working there. So here now let me quickly share about what really happens. So we have this biogas which is now being used for gasification with synthesis gas, and that synthesis gas is now with the hydrogen production, right? So this was certain work which has been worked out quickly. Yeah, there are certain queries. I would definitely answer them after 5 minutes, CCU and mandatory things, and thanks for the compliments for the session. Uh, the biogas, which typically refers here as a mixture of gases, so around 80-85% of these comes up anaerobic digestion. All you know this. I'm quickly moving, so everybody, the one who is even in electronics industry should be able to understand. That's what I am quickly moving. So it could be lignocellulose biomass, it could be sugar and starch, or it could be oil crops. All of them will come here. This is my diagram for plant. So this is versatile. Each of them can come, and here you can see hydrogen producing, and it could be synthetic natural gas, SNG that is called, or CNG, or if it is biomass, it is bio CNG, right? This plant. This is how the power production can come in. Fuel cell. These are with 4 turbine power plants. Reliance, the NTPC Dadri power plant is functioning on this one that we have done. It was simulated, right? My own simulations. This is the example where next I think 3 to 5 minutes we will stop here. So this is the real plant which has been functioning with 10 tons per day, and you can see this biomethane is coming here with the pressure regulating system. Then it comes from a heat exchanging, it goes to the zinc oxide scrubber. The scrubbed gas goes to the mixture where H2O steam with gas, that is H2O, is coming in. Then it's going to the SMR, steam methane reactor, operating at 800 degrees of centigrade. The syngas CO plus H2, here it goes up. Then there are heat exchanging. This heat exchanging networks, they are not in any of the plant. We have visited the Godrej, uh, Vikhroli plant, and many soap manufacturing. These are not implemented anywhere in the world, which the first plant is really working. Then we have electric boiler. Then it goes to the here with the low temperature separator, right? Or it could be high temperature separator. We have omitted the LTS here. This is another disruption which has put into technology. Then oxidizing with that, then the cool syngas goes to, this is called as a VPSA. So the pressure swing adsorption, vacuum pressure swing adsorption, where the scrubber technology is there for adsorption, desorption, adsorption, desorption mechanism. One column on adsorption, one column on desorption. So this can be even replaced by the membrane reactor, right? Later, membrane separator. However, increasing some more cost, and here we get hydrogen, right? So this is how you can look into. So I've given you the balances in general. So if you can see that, suppose if I have close to 50 kg of methane, which is mixture coming in, I'm getting close to 5 kg of hydrogen, right? This is the best efficiency which has been leveraged. So 10% of that would be completely converted to hydrogen. And here is the cost economics. The cost is an in situ manufacturing is 210 rupees per billion metric British thermal units. And if we look into this one, so you can see here, this doesn't need CCUS because there is no carbon production or generation into the environment, no pollution. So this cost with the Indian mechanism would be costing around 96 rupees, and these just compare them, sorry, 78 rupees, and just compare them with the earlier costs, right? 97 rupees and 105 rupees. And this also could be brought down because if biogas system and the power generation hydrogen separation unit, they are clubbed together. So we have this biogas system and this one, if clubbed together, in that case the cost may further go down, right? And it is 10 tons per day, 100 tons per day. Definitely, obviously this will not bring down to 50 rupees. 78 rupees may come down to 70 rupees. However, even today 67.5 rupees per kg is the hydrogen we are receiving, which is a gray hydrogen without any sequestration from marginal fields. If it is from the challenging fields, which is more prevailing, maybe year, a couple of year down, we have to purchase that only. The margin, the challenge, the easy fields will go off. It will cost 96 to 100 rupees, and this would be around 80 rupees. So the cost difficulty is no there at, or not there at all. Be comfortable with that. Green hydrogen is cost affordable, right? Only question is how much? Can it replace the complete hydrogen demand? Probably no. At least at present, no. So we have to augment it maximum from green hydrogen. Whatever remaining should come from blue hydrogen. And blue hydrogen, one query is there, blue hydrogen is mandatory. We have to move to this technology. For example, the visionary decision was done in 2016 that 2015-16 that Bharat Stage 5, which was supposed to be implemented from 1st January 2012, had never come in practice. So that was completely omitted, and we moved from 4 to 6. And same thing, India is not looking more for blue, India is more looking from green is a visionary step, technological transformation. 1500 to 10 to less than 10 ppm. Now we are there for diesel oil with sulfur. Same thing with green, we want to reduce, rather move towards the newer technologies into the future and make it ensure it is not much costlier at all. We can do it.
Unmute केलं.
So this is the only thing here, and just 1 minute here I will spend and then we will stop. Is suppose instead of only hydrogen, if we produce the fuel, the liquid fuel, for example, gasoline and diesel oil with the Fischer-Tropsch synthesis, what would be there? So 8.1 kg of methane, and it will say, for example, right now, if I take a cost of 20 rupees, right, at presently, so 160 rupees, that is what we are spending, and here we are generating 8 liters of oil. 8 liters into the its cost 40 rupees is the production cost, rest all are taxes, so it becomes completely double, right? So here it becomes a completely double. Obviously around plus 80 is the operation cost, 0.5 as a business thumb rule. So 240 rupees is the cost and 320 rupees is the selling price at present, even with FT with biomethane. Suppose this is the fossil methane, why we are not doing then this right now? Suppose it is a fossil methane, then the cost is 320 rupees here, plus half of that, that is 160, that is 480 rupees, and the cost of liquid fuel is 320 rupees. It is the same. So this is completely, we are producing at 480 rupees and we are selling at 320. There is no business which will work, right? So this is not feasible with the present natural gas. However, this is feasible with the bio natural gas, right? So you can produce hydrogen. If you don't want, you produce gasoline and diesel oil fuels, or one can set up the plant for both, partly hydrogen, partly for liquid fuels, right? So these are the steps in between. Let me browse through for everybody, and these are some more of the same technologies which go on with separations. So these are some producer gas component. This would be certain like ways of water gas shift reactor with one. These are certain calculations. Yeah. So I think with that I will stop here. So the main intention of introducing with hydrogen power, its types, and the ways it is being produced: gray without any sequestration, blue with sequestration, green from bioresources has been covered, and the case study, which is a practically functioning and profitable case study, which has been presented for the all of you. Any input, any suggestions are mostly welcome. These are all my some certain simulation diagrams which I have placed it. So thank you,
Thank you,
TTA,
Dr.
for
Ratnadeep.
this one.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
thank you very
Over to
much
you.
for this wonderful presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you for wonderful presentation, and I must appreciate very few authors and speakers talk about the costing part. You have really hit the nail, and I'm sure the future for green hydrogen is quite bright in India, and we will have alternate fuel. Before we go for question and answer, I would like to share with all of you, under the dynamic leadership of Dr. Pramod Deshpande, we have started an energy vertical in TTA, and a lot of activities are happening and planned. And today's lecture was one of the attempt to reach you about the green hydrogen from Dr. Ratnadeep Joshi. First, I will request Dr. Ratnadeep Joshi to take the questions in the chat box, and then we will start the questions and answer session. So over to Dr. Ratnadeep Joshi.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. What first question is from Dungre sir. What about hydrogen from water using electrochemical cell? Um, yeah, so that is feasible. Agree that we can really do that. However, the cost at present is too high, and the amount of energy which is being generated to tackle with that is also a question, because it is like a small bomb. So anyway, anything that explodes, we call it as a bomb. It should not be taken over at any other way. For example, like drug, right? Any medicine is a drug. Same thing is there. So to deal with that energy, as well as the huge amount of energy which is required for the electrolysis, is a challenge, because today we are having a scarcity of electricity itself. So, for example, using these green energy sources, we can definitely produce that energy. However, in my opinion, is until the solar energy concentrators become more affordable and popular and start generating the energy, electrolysis will not be very popular and affordable. Once the solar energy transformation is affordable, obviously we can really have it from hydrolysis of water. And obviously saline water demineralization techniques, we do have them with us, so that's not a question that we should know. We need the potable water from rainwaters, etc. We can use saline water from sea waters, and obviously we can convert it and use it for electrochemical uh, systems. Or it could be photolysis also. People are doing research on photosynthesis, where similar to like the plants they are doing, can we replicate that and try to work out. In my personal opinion, research is fantastic. However, the way it would be able to cater the need of the world, 7 billion we are, maybe 8 billions next 10 to 15 years the time, with that one how much we would be able to, and with the increasing pleasure and luxury, right? The amount of luxury which is increasing, with that it's very difficult no, that one source will continue to supply. So we have to look into for alternate sources. Carbon capture and utilization, CCU, yes, it is mandatory. We have to do that in any way we can do it. However, without that we cannot reduce the CO2 emissions. Without that we cannot comply with the rules and regulations. We our products will not be able to be sold into the universal markets without the CCUS. That's what that's what Trump went out of this agreement. That they said that I will not agree. Right? They are coming back. However, that happens because it may not be feasible for them. The way CERs used to flout the and fool out the world. For example, many sugar factories in India also have earned CERs and sold to US companies, and they are not reducing their pollution. They are purchasing CERs, $21 a CER or something in that price, and globally tendered, and accordingly it's like a punishment they are working, but they are ready to pay money, fine, however not to act on. However, in the Paris Agreement, now this will not work. What are we looking for India? Yes, probably intermediately electric vehicles. However, FCV, fuel cell vehicles. Thank you for compliments, for good suggestions. Thank you. Fuel cell research is going on. However, the kind of pace of research is slow, and as well as the quantity that we can produce is very meager. The example I shared with you, biomethane 50 kg to 5 kg, it is 100 liter. If I say 0.76 is the value and convert it, maybe 76 liter to only 250 ml. So this is the least of amount of hydrogen which could be generated using the present fuel cells. So obviously maybe higher membrane technologies this will increase, however not feasible at least at present. Which process can be used for hydrogen production from plastics? Oh, Yes, we can use plastic, we can use tire. We have already worked on one of the plant in Pune, nearby Pune is still working on our research. Many got closed down because the oil prices went down. So FT, or the fuel oil, FO, which was available 45 rupees a liter, went down to 25 rupees a liter, because the oil prices from 70 to $80 went down to $30 per barrel. So in that case, the plastic and tire pyrolysis plants went bankrupt, they closed, and bringing them in operation is very costlier affair. So it is possible, however, at least the dollar price, the oil price should remain above $50 per barrel all the time. Only in that case, all these efforts will be fruitful, or as part of the business. I'm talking on sustainability. Yes, we have to. We say that, oh, whatever the cost is there, we should be. However, as of the business works, I would say unless it is maintaining $50, this will not be profitable. Thank you for the compliments. Yeah, we'll see it. Yeah, I think there are more
If we are not
compliments.
having more questions in
Yeah, the rest
chat
are all
box,
almost compliments. What is the effect of substrate on the quality of gas? Yes. So this 2G, this is one important which I actually did not elaborate on because of the topic on more on hydrogen. The present hydrogen or methane which is manufactured, it can use anything, right, except lignin, right? And obviously because of that, because nature has given this uh, to the plants, that the plants will not get eaten out by the bacteria while it is living. So the same thing, except that everything, the stubble from the farms, the Delhi and NCR region getting from Punjab and Haryana farmers, this all can. Even I had done the one presentation for them also. However, it is like, there is a controversy if we say something on that. However, the farmers of Punjab and Haryana, really they are stubborn on the stubble. That's what I can just say. They can have a lot of income from this one, but why
Uh,
they don't want to sell that and to produce biogas? They are very adamant on that. They are not ready to listen even. That's a case of 2016, old case, right? Not on a, not even a larger scale. I'm saying, I'm not saying overall remarks. However, not on a larger scale. They want to, reuse it for as a fertilizer. That's what probably it comes up. So we can actually use it everything from then. Yes, Hotel West is there. Canteen West, we are generating 2 commercial cylinder equivalent bio CNG every day today. That plant is available in our campus. Tire West is there. Yeah, this is a good question. Investment cost and ROI. Around 5.5 crore rupees is the investment cost. And if you go for more of the higher production, this will increase. However, and land cost is to be added. So in general, I can say 7 to 8 crore rupees for a 10 tons per day investment cost is there, and the return of investment is close to 3 years. Payback period, rather, the payback period is 3 years.
okay.
I think so. I'm over with the queries here on the chat box.
Rabde sir,
okay, if you are having any queries, I think we have running short of time, but we will take 1 or 2 questions. Please identify yourself, and those who have asked, please don't repeat. Let us give opportunity to the new. Yeah, any questions? Okay, I think most of the queries were on the chat. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,